Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And another great article here from the Mobile Report. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys could check it out. So, just when we thought it was over, we went through the very, very long process of the Sprint and T Mobile merger. And then just recently, within the last year or so, kind of a bit of a back and forth on the Mint Mobile acquisition. And that took about 12 months. And now T-Mobile is at it again. The latest buyout is US Cellular. Now we will be, once again, going through a regulatory process, sort of a back and forth on the US Cellular acquisition. Although many anticipate this to be rather smooth, and a lot of people have high confidence that this will get approved, we still have to go through that process. It has to go through the regulatory bodies. This one, some are labeling this as a mega deal. I don't think it is. It is the biggest regional carrier, but I don't think it's as big or anywhere close to as big as a deal as what Sprint was, for an example, just to use that as an example. So what do we have? T-Mobile has been on a spree of acquisitions lately. Following the completion of its buyout of Mint Mobile and related properties, the company seems to be relentless pursuit of further expansions. And again, I want to clarify, these are capital light small purchases. They're not going out and buying 50, 60, 70 billion dollar companies. So I wanted to throw that in because that can be misunderstood as you're looking at other different articles and listening to bigger outlets, because they're making it seem like it's this mega deal when in reality it's relatively small when you look at everything. The company started with Sprint and it's not stopping. A lot of the acquisitions the company has done have been focused on improving its 5G service, reaching more customers, or both. This latest acquisition seems to be a bit of both, as T-Mobile has just announced plans to buy US Cellular, or at least the good bits like the spectrum and the tower assets. I think the leasing tower agreement, the longer term deal, the 15-year leasing agreement that they struck with US Cellular is a big deal, because I'm very, very confident that T-Mobile has lacked a lot of coverage in the areas where they are leasing those new towers. And that's where T-Mobile's cost savings come into play, because now they can just lease and add and co-locate onto already existing sites. Whereas before, those areas, they may have gotten some additional US Cellular deals with leasing, but on some other parts, they may have had to build brand new sites. And a brand new structure, like if you're having to put up the pole, trench fiber, add everything, that can be very expensive. It can be upwards of like $500,000 per site. So there are some cost savings that T-Mobile is getting out of this, most definitely. So the deal has been approved. I mean, it hasn't been approved. It's been approved from the board of T-Mobile and the board of US Cellular, TDS. And the total amount of the deal is $4.4 billion. I am told the asset cost is $2.4 billion, and then the other $2 billion is debt that T-Mobile is taking on. It says here it's a costly deal, but one that will expand T-Mobile's 5G network, particularly benefiting underserved rural areas. And that's what will be at the forefront as T-Mobile is trying to get this across the finish line. The current administration, the FCC, the current Biden administration, they are all about giving rural communities more internet service, closing the digital divide. So that will be very hard for them to go against this, because that's what they're preaching. If they go against this, then, they're not really for the rural consumer, right? So that's something that US Cellular and T-Mobile will use to push across this deal across the finish line. Something that I do want to read off here. So T-Mobile will pay a combination of cash and assumed debt, like I said, and does not expect this deal to impact its 2024 financial guidance. So no change on the guidance and the balance sheet this year. The company anticipates annual cost savings of $1 billion from the merger. Like I said, getting the leasing deal for this longer term agreement will help T-Mobile save some money. The deal is subject to regulatory approvals and is expected to close in mid-2025, although I'm hearing some say it's going to be closed sooner because of the effects this will have on rules. So they want to speed it up a bit so that way T-Mobile can get started on helping out closing the digital divide. So this deal is still interesting, right? Because we got the Sprint merger. They got that past the finish line, and then that was supposed to, right? That was supposed to help with the rural competition, 10,000 new sites. So a lot of people are questioning, and rightfully so. So how come do they need US Cellular now when they just got Sprint and they made the same argument that, hey, we can do the rural competition thing with the Sprint assets, and now they need the US Cellular assets, right? So we always have to pay attention to what's actually happening, not what's being discussed, right? We have to pay attention to what's actually happening. So we are now 4 years in, post-merger, and T-Mobile is still smaller in size to the competition. Let's call it what it is. They are still smaller. So now I've said it in videos. You guys have heard me advocate for this because this will help T-Mobile gain traction. It will help them scale the network much, much quicker versus what they're doing today. So T-Mobile would have eventually gotten there. They would have eventually gained that scale, but it would have taken a long time, or longer, I should say, than anything that they've done before. So with this is going to be a lot quicker. So once this closes, I would say within 18 months, maybe 24 months, they will have gained additional massive scale on those 2,100 lease agreement sites when they're adding their T-Mobile equipment on it, Spectrum, and then the US Cellular spectrum that's part of this acquisition. So that's where I feel I have to step in and tell you guys and brace for impact. You know, could we potentially see more price increases in the future? Very possible. I'm not going to dispute that. I'm not going to downplay that because that's a very, very high possibility. Although I don't see that within the next year or so, or even 2 years, but further out in the future, I do see additional price increases because this is going to get very expensive. Even though they're going to do cost savings of $1 billion, their operations cost is going to go through the roof now. I mean, you're leasing on 2,100 additional sites where you're going to lease fiber, where you're leasing the actual structure, because, right, T-Mobile only operates fiber on a third-party basis. So you're leasing the structure to actually be on the site. Then you got to lease fiber. So that's going to be very expensive on 2,100 additional sites. So the rural play is there. The competition will help, but it's gonna drive costs up for T-Mobile additionally, right? OpEx is gonna go up. They're gonna have to fill those stores with employees. That's operations. They're gonna have to lease those stores. They're gonna have to pay rent. So all of that operations cost is going to go up. No matter how they spin it publicly, they are going to pay more operations. No matter how they spin it, twist it, they're going to pay more OpEx. So prices sometime in the future will have to go up again to justify this purchase. The return on investment will come eventually, but they're going to try to speed things up with additional price increases. I have a strong feeling that that's what's coming. Maybe like 2, 4, 5 years out, but something will be in the works. So let me know your thoughts on all of this. Like, share, subscribe if you are new to the channel. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.